What's up, everybody? Celtic Scare here, back with another video. Get those 10s and 20 views. I will get it right this time. I don't really edit much of my videos. It's more or less I like doing it one take off the top of my head. Just seems more genuine. But this is a hectic week with the holiday. Because I usually put my NFL predictions out Thursday, it's coming out tomorrow because there's no point in having predictions out when there's already football games going on. But as you've seen in the title, this is my top 6 choices for who I want to be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. This is a kind of a help grow channel, talk about something I love, and response to Twitter video. With that being said, it helped grow this channel because A, I'm making more content and it's about something I love, Carolina Panthers and football. And the response to Twitter is Carolina Panthers Twitter is a giant melting pot cesspool of love for the team, hate for the team, really smart, genuine comments, really dumb, hateful comments, racism in pretty much every sense of the word, and wackiness. So, and I'm putting my face and at least username on my comments. So it's like, hey, I'm not hiding behind some random avatar that you can't be like, this guy, this is the guy with the opinion, being safe behind a keyboard. No, come here. I'm putting my hopefully beautiful face out there and talking about what I want to talk about on top. But yeah, a lot of people after the Carolina Panthers started 1-9 want people to go. There's people who want everyone from the owner to resell the team, which is never going to happen. The general manager and head coach. They want like the whole thing just being a complete clean slate. Slightly what we did last year. So enough of that. Here are my top 6 choices. Why 6? Because I came up with, 5, and then I added one more that would make a lot of sense. So coming in at number 6 is Marcus Freeman, the current head coach of my favorite college football team and more or less college that I root for, the University of Notre Dame. He is a defensive-minded coach. The Irish defense has been a vast strong point of this team for the past couple of years, especially when he kind of took over. And he definitely seems like a very passionate, rile up the troops type coach, which is something that a lot of people bitch about Frank Reich, where he sounds very monotone. But yeah, Freeman is the only college coach, but he does have head coach experience and high aspiration type big market field because it is Notre Dame. There aren't many, even pro sports teams that come to the level of love-hate that the Irish have. Like, there's a lot of NFL teams that have more, leeway than Notre Dame football and college football in general. That's why he is number 6. Now, number 5 is someone who's actually currently at the Carolina as Yujiro Evero. I hope I pronounced that right. I have hockey knees, but I hear those often. I have to sneeze, which sucks. Sorry about that. Had to sneeze. And there's nothing hanging out, so we're all good to go. But yeah, Evero. He, current defensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers. He has never been a head coach anywhere. So that is a slight knock on him. But he is currently converting the Carolina Panthers from a 4-3 to a 3-4. So there is that. I'm just looking up the next guy for a different stat. Where it's like, hey, yeah, we don't currently have all the pieces in place to fully run this defense to how it's supposed to look. But at the same time, I am not blaming our defense outside of a few games on why this team is 1-9. They're performing at a great level. The big issue is A, the offense isn't scoring enough points, and B, the offense is going 3-and-out way too often, not giving the defense enough time to rest. So, and he does seem to be a very well liked coach. So, bump up the head coach? Sure, why not? All right, number 4, who was the person I was looking up, who also was never a head coach, and that is the one, the only Eric Bieniemy. Yeah, I thought he was a head coach somewhere, but at least in college, like he did do high school, Colorado, so where Deion's at, UCLA, Vikings, Colorado, Bill. Yeah, Eric Bieniemy. The biggest knock on Eric Bieniemy was, for me, at least last year, was how much of Casey's success was him versus, Andy Reid. We know Andy Reid's great at coming up with an offensive mind. So, it was, oh, is it him or is it just he's just benefited from being behind Andy Reid? Well, we're seeing that this year in Washington, a team that's very similar to Carolina. Good young quarterback. I think Sam Howell has a bigger arm, but I think Bryce Young's more accurate. No real offensive line. Sam Howell has been sacked a ton. Washington does have better receivers, I'll say that. But Howell is like leading, or at least way up there in contention for passing yards and passing touchdowns. So it's like, hey, look, Washington could be really good, and the offense is being powered by Eric Bieniemy. So it's like, okay, the dude can coach. It is him. That's why I have him there at 4. And at number 3, it's Mike Tomlin. I have no idea if Mike Tomlin's going to be fired. I know everybody wants Matt Canada fired. So who knows with Mike Tomlin? He's been at Pittsburgh forever. And he's never had a losing record, or not. I can't remember having a losing record. He's a multiple time Super Bowl champion. His coaching staff he doesn't have like the coaching staff tree that like abandons him. There's loyalty. And Tepper should have some type of rapport with him, because Tepper used to be partial owner of the Steelers before coming to Carolina. So there should be that. And it's kind of hard to argue that Mike Tomlin is not one of the best coaches currently in the NFL. The Steelers have looked good and bad throughout the years, but somehow they are always a playoff contender. And number 2 is Bill Belichick. Yes, the hoodie man, the guy who I thought would just leave football after being done in New England, apparently is leaving New England this year, at the end of this year. I'm not sure of that whole thing, but it's kind of argue with the fact that, this man has won, 6 Super Bowls? Granted, with Tom Brady. Team's always been competitive, and I do see a lot of comparisons between Tom Brady and Bryce Young. Hear me out. Hear me out. Both extremely smart guys. Both not really the biggest built quarterbacks. Neither of them have like the super big cannon of an arm, but they're both highly smart, highly accurate. Brady has the benefit of being the one of, if not the greatest quarterback of all time, and Bryce Young severely needs to prove himself. But just on the statistics, there's that. Yeah, Bryce Young is like 4 inches smaller than him, but he is a lot faster. So I think Bill Belichick could easily work with Bryce Young and run a lot of the same things that New England had. And with Bill Belichick, you're going to get a bunch of receivers that can get open and make catches. Maybe not be fast, but they can get open and catch it. And a good offensive line. These 2 things Bryce Young definitely needs. He needs a better line, and he needs guys who won't drop passes. I think you get those two things, Bryce Young can really take off. And Bill Belichick and Mike Tomlin at least has the hardware and benefit to kind of look at Tepper, who's going like, I want to be involved. I'm sorry, how many Super Bowls have you won as the owner? Let me do my job, and I will win you lots of games and make you lots of money. And number one, my top choice for head coach of the Carolina Panthers at the start of the 2024 NFL season is Frank Reich. I don't blame Frank Reich for the state of this team. I'm not even sure Frank Reich actually wanted Bryce Young. I think he wanted CJ Stroud. I think his offense probably would work better with a bigger armed quarterback, and that's the thing. And that's why I think the mailman, aka Will Levis, would also have probably worked slightly better in this offense. But I don't think Frank Reich is such a egotistical maniac that he'll try to force Bryce Young into this offense. And as I said, I blame the failures of the Carolina Panthers on Scott Fitter. He has built this team horribly. He literally was the one who, I believe he was the one who said we can just plug in a quarterback and be a playoff contender. The way he's drafted, signed free agencies, and trades have pretty much stripped away this entire offense. I say get a new GM, have them work with Frank, and be like, okay, what's Bryce Young's strength, which is what we should be learning this rest of the year is what can we do with Bryce Young to be the most successful, and who on this team could help him move forward offensively. Right now, I don't have that many people on offense I'm saving. I'm saving Bryce Young, Tommy Tremble, Adam Thielen, Brady Christensen, and Iggy. Those are the five. Everybody else, your jobs are up for sale, in my opinion. Like I said, I'm not blaming this year on Frank. I'm not sure how much stock he had to say in the draft. I know he had nothing to do with the signings and trades. So let's get a GM in here. Let Frank work with Bryce, because I definitely think one thing to a good young quarterback development is a consistency. Look at Sam Darnold. Multiple head coaches first couple of years. And everyone who's kind of complaining about the way Bryce is playing this year, there is a lot of players who had a god-awful trying to find the thing I got tagged in. Where is it? Like god-awful rookie year and term. Let's see. And I'll import this thing. It's Matthew Stafford's rookie year was 1-6 through 6 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. Goff was 0-7. It's for the first 7 starts. 0-7, 5 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Burrow was 1-5-1 with 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Trevor Lawrence was 1-6 and 8-9. Bryce Young 1-6, but he's 8-7. So yeah, I'm not fully saying that Bryce Young isn't to blame for some of his problems. He is kind of making these same mistakes over and over again. Like the pick 6 against the Cowboys was Bryce Young's fault. He stared down his receiver. He had Tremble open. I think he's trying to force things a little too much. So, but yeah, I'm not blaming Frank Reich on this team this year. I definitely think we need to give him at least as much time as Matt Rule. And I think a vast majority of the hate for Frank Reich from the fan base is we gave up a lot to go get Bryce Young, and the return isn't anything good. Fitterer came out and said, all we need is a good quarterback, and we'll win this division and be a playoff team. That's not the case. And Steve Wilkes went 6-6 in the back half of the season. But those 6 games, in my opinion, weren't that impressive. We didn't make the playoffs, though. There's that. But that's it. That is my list. That is the 6 coaches I would want next year in Carolina. Frank Wright being at the top. But I would not argue with anybody else. These 5 coaches right here. But that's it. That's all I have. Tell me your opinion down below, and I'll see you weird people tomorrow.